Part 58. God Level Tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tien Taido. Chapter 574. Li Hao walked towards the stone platform with a firm step. No matter how strong the pressure was, it still couldn't stop Li Hao's steps. Soon, Li Hao came to the front of the stone platform, but the pressure on Li Hao had become extremely terrifying, and even made Li Hao's forehead sweat. Li Hao looked carefully and saw that there was a concave palm print on the stone platform, just enough to put his palm down. Hu! Li Hao exhaled heavily and held his breath. Then, Li Hao directly placed his palm on the palm print. The next moment, when Li Hao's palm was placed in the palm print, Li Hao's whole spirit was shocked again. Boom! A huge soul force seemed to burst out from the stone platform at this moment, and rushed into Li Hao's body along Li Hao's palm. Roar! Roar! At this moment, in the invisible world, it seemed as if several giant dragons were biting towards Li Hao with their mouths wide open, trying to devour him. This is the power of the soul. Li Hao also hurriedly activated his cultivation power, and released the powerful cultivation of the peak of the spiritual transformation realm without reservation. At the same time, he released his soul power, which collided with the encroaching soul power. Bang! When Li Hao's soul power collided with the invisible dragon, Li Hao felt an incomparable pain, as if his head was about to explode, and his whole spirit was about to collapse. The soul power was injured. It is obvious that the invisible dragon is the dragon vein sealed in this stone platform. The dragon vein is invisible, and it exists like a spiritual force. Under the impact of the dragon vein, it is normal for Li Hao's spirit to be injured. But if it continues, if the spirit is seriously damaged, there is a risk of becoming an idiot. At this critical moment, buzz buzz buzz. In Li Hao's body and blood, a strange power was instantly stimulated at this moment. Boom! An incomparable and powerful demonic energy burst out from Li Hao's body and rushed into the sky. On Li Hao's body, the demonic energy rose, and the incomparable demonic energy enveloped Li Hao's entire body. At this moment, Li Hao also became extremely demonic. Faintly, a powerful phantom appeared on Li Hao's body, and the phantom was exactly the same as the phantom summoned by the 9 demon fairies before. This is the phantom of the demon god. However, the phantom of the demon god summoned by Li Hao at this moment is more solid than the phantom of the demon god summoned by the 9 demon fairies before, and its momentum is also more amazing. This is because the demon god power contained in Li Hao's body and blood is more powerful and purer than the demon god power in the blood of the 9 demon fairies. With the emergence of this demon god power, the dragon vein seemed to have encountered a great enemy at this moment, and it also became abnormal. Rumble. Invisibly, it seemed that a powerful demon god appeared and suppressed the dragon vein, using Li Hao's body as a medium. From the outside, when Li Hao's palm fell on the stone platform, Li Hao was completely stunned, standing there motionless, as if he was petrified. But in reality, a powerful soul battle was going on in Li Hao's body. If he was not careful, he would end up dead. At this moment, everything in the outside world seemed to be disconnected from Li Hao. At this moment, Li Hao seemed to have entered another world. This is the spiritual world. Li Hao felt that at this moment he seemed to have become a demon god, and in front of him were 9 giant dragons, each of which was flowing with supreme divine light and containing supreme divine power. That's right, it was 9 giant dragons. These 9 giant dragons are the dragon vein sealed in the stone platform. In Li Hao's sight, these 9 giant dragons, without exception, rushed towards his position with supreme power. Li Hao transformed into a demon god and directly pushed out a palm to block one of the giant dragons. Then, Li Hao saw that from other directions, the giant dragon opened its huge mouth and bit again. Li Hao quickly threw another punch. In just a moment, Li Hao blocked the attacks of several giant dragons, but there were 9 of them, and each of them was probably at the level of Earth immortals. Even though Li Hao had the power of a demon god, he was unable to suppress the giant dragons. The 9 giant dragons looked at Li Hao with a greedy look in their eyes. Obviously, this dragon vein wanted to devour Li Hao's demon god power, and as long as it devoured Li Hao's demon god power, these 9 dragon veins could also directly transform, and then break free from the seal of the dragon platform and come out. Boom boom boom. Bang 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 bang. With the bombardment of these dragon veins again and again, Li Hao's whole spirit was about to collapse, and his body could not bear and resist these shocks. If it goes on like this, Li Hao is afraid that he can't hold on for long. And this scene in front of him is the test of the heart of the continent for himself. If he can't even pass this level, let alone control the heart of the continent. Thinking of this, Li Hao's eyes became more determined, and he immediately made a decision. Roar! Roar! Invisibly, Li Hao felt that the 9 dragon veins seemed to be roaring and screaming at him, opening their huge mouths, revealing cruelty. Soon, the 9 dragon veins came towards Li Hao and tried to devour him. But at this moment, a strange force was released from Li Hao's body. Boom boom boom. The aura on Li Hao's body became stronger and stronger at this moment. It kept rising, and in the blink of an eye it had surpassed Li Hao's original realm, and it had not stopped yet. Although Li Hao's cultivation had not made a breakthrough, at this moment, the aura released by Li Hao's body had truly entered the realm of earthly immortals. At this moment, around Li Hao's body, there was a dazzling divine light, and another huge phantom appeared on Li Hao's body. This was a figure wearing gorgeous clothes and an imperial crown. When this figure appeared here, the whole world seemed to tremble, and this figure seemed to be above the world. This was a human emperor. That's right, the phantom that appeared on Li Hao's body at this moment was a human emperor. At this moment, the Taoist method that Li Hao used was the Human Emperor Sutra. The Human Emperor Sutra was a fairy method that Li Hao had perfected from the system. At this moment, Li Hao used it, which could summon the human emperor to descend, causing Li Hao's combat power to surge instantly, reaching an extremely terrifying level. In just a moment, the momentum released by Li Hao was comparable to that of a powerful earthly immortal, and it was still soaring. In the end, Li Hao's momentum directly reached the peak of earthly immortals. As Li Hao used the Human Emperor Sutra, Li Hao's soul even underwent a transformation. The next moment, Li Hao took action. The extremely majestic soul power was instantly released, heading towards the 9 spiritual veins in front. It was seen that among the 5 elements, there seemed to be a towering figure standing above the heaven and earth, fighting with the 9-headed dragon. As this figure took action, the dragon was caught in the hand of this figure. The giant dragon had no power to resist and was suppressed directly. Then, the second and third. The 9 giant dragons were no match for Li Hao, who had performed the Human Emperor Sutra. They were defeated in the collision of soul power. Coupled with the power of the demon god, the 9 dragon veins were directly suppressed. After the 9 dragon veins were suppressed by Li Hao, they returned to the ceiling dragon platform again. But at this moment, a powerful force on the ceiling dragon platform instantly enveloped Li Hao. At this moment, Li Hao was shocked again. A very strange scene appeared in front of Li Hao. Li Hao only felt that the picture in front of him was blurred, and his whole consciousness seemed to rise with the ceiling dragon platform. From underground to the ground. Then from the ground, it rose to the sky. It has not stopped yet. In just a moment, Li Hao seemed to be in a vast universe again. In front of Li Hao, planets appeared one after another. Thousands of planets seemed to have turned into a star field. His soul consciousness seemed to fly out of the sky and saw the endless universe. A sense of righteousness arose spontaneously. But in the next moment, this vast universe began to flow and change constantly. Li Hao saw another blue planet appear in front of him. And that planet was just a speck of dust in the vast universe, a corner of the vast universe. This planet was actually the continent under him. At this moment, Li Hao seemed to be standing in the universe, looking down at the entire planet. As Li Hao's perception expanded, everything that happened on this planet was clearly perceived by Li Hao. Li Hao saw the scene on the continent. Countless monsters were appearing from various places on the continent and attacking the city with people. Sunset Country. Countless monsters were attacking an ancient castle. There were figures in armor rushing out of the castle, and they were fighting fiercely with those monsters. This castle is William Castle. The William family, which is second to none in the entire continent, is in this William Castle. Above William Castle, there is a powerful formation that covers this William Castle. This formation was left by the former strong men of William Castle. It is the defense formation of William Castle. Around the entire William Castle, there are powerful figures standing one after another, with determination in their eyes. There are constantly powerful monsters rushing towards William Castle. Even though there are many strong people in the William family, and even saints comparable to the cultivators of the God transformation realm, they are in danger under the endless impact of these powerful monsters. At the same time, not far from this William Castle, there is a mountain towering above the clouds. Holy Mountain of Light. The location of the Holy Church of Light. But at this moment, the entire Holy Church of Light is also in danger. Many saints died in the mouths of monsters, and the remaining people are less than 2/10, and they are still desperately resisting the monsters' attacks. If they continue like this, I'm afraid they won't be able to hold on for long. Similar scenes are staged in various places across the continent. In the car country, countless vehicles were torn apart by monsters, and many people are desperately fleeing. In the bird country, there are no birds anymore. In the flower country, the beautiful scenery of the past is gone, and all that is left are broken walls and ruins. The romantic country is no longer romantic, only death can be seen everywhere, and despair fills the sky. The situation in China is still not good. The 9 garrison troops were originally guarding one side, but now all the garrison troops have gone to the front line. From the garrison commander to the soldier, regardless of life and death, they fought to the end with the monsters and defended the defense line. Li Hao saw quite a few people, including the Tibetan Dharma King, Nai Yuntian, Zhao Tianshen, etc. Li Hao even saw several beautiful figures among them. Yeshun, Qin Yaking, Linda, Chu Xiaoqing were all women who had had intimate relationships with Li Hao, but at this moment, they gathered together to resist the monsters together. These women who were closest to Li Hao were no longer ordinary people, and had already undergone transformation. Now, several women have become powerful cultivators. Even so, the situation is extremely bleak, and these monsters may break through the defense line at any time. Everyone's heart was extremely heavy, and it felt like the sky was about to fall. Everything on the continent was clearly sensed by Li Hao. At this moment, Li Hao seemed to be connected to everything on this continent. As long as it happened on the continent, people, or things, they could not escape Li Hao's insight. It was really a wonderful feeling. As Li Hao continued to sense, he explored from above the continent to below the continent. Then there was this underground world. Then, Li Hao saw endless monsters filling the entire underground world. Then, Li Hao saw that in the center of this underground world, that is, above the Lington under the altar, a beautiful figure was constantly being repelled and injured under the fierce attack of 9 huge monsters. Her long hair had become messy, and there were bloody scars on her body. The star demon sword in her hand was also stained with blood. As for the Holy Grail on her head, no one knew where it fell. The 9 demon fairies once again transformed into their original bodies and launched the final attack on Ye Hongxiu. At this moment, Ye Hongxiu could not resist. Even, some demons and fairies actually passed Ye Hongxiu and headed towards the bottom of the spiritual pond. Seeing this scene, Li Hao's mind was shaken. Li Hao's mind also went down, and then he saw a figure standing in front of the dragon ceiling platform below the spiritual pond. That figure stood there blankly at this moment, as if he had lost his mind. Li Hao was shocked to find that this figure was himself. And his current state was like his soul leaving his body. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 575. Li Hao's soul left his body and saw the world and the entire sky. At this moment, Li Hao saw his own body standing there blankly, and a demon fairy was condensing powerful power to rush towards the position of his body, and it fell on him before he saw it. At this critical moment, boom! A powerful suction force seemed to burst out from Li Hao's body instantly, suddenly pulling Li Hao's soul away. The next moment, Li Hao only felt that the scene around him changed instantly, and he felt as if he was just waking up from a dream. Li Hao opened his eyes and saw that his palm was still printed on the dragon ceiling platform. Everything that just happened seemed like a dream, but Li Hao knew that this was not a dream, but reality. At the same time, Li Hao had a strange feeling. Now he seemed to be connected to the continent and the world under his feet. Everything that happens on this continent cannot escape Li Hao's perception. There was a strange color in Li Hao's heart, as if nothing happened, but Li Hao really felt that he seemed different. It was as if a transformation had occurred in an instant, and even Li Hao himself had not yet reacted. The next moment, Li Hao turned around and saw a terrifying offensive coming. It was one of the 9 demon immortals, transformed into a giant python, with a single horn growing on the top of his head. The mouth was full of blood, exuding ferocious power, and it was about to bite Li Hao's body. Looking at this scene, Li Hao's expression did not change at all, and a sharp light burst out in his eyes. Immediately afterwards, Li Hao slowly raised his palm toward the front. However, just as Li Hao raised his palm, the giant python stopped directly less than an inch away from Li Hao's palm. Not only did the giant python stop, but the entire space seemed to freeze at this moment. Invisibly, there seemed to be a powerful force that froze the space and sealed the giant python there, unable to move. It could be clearly seen that the giant python's eyes were wide open, filled with disbelief. All of this seemed to be within Li Hao's expectation, and everything in front of him was just following his heart. At this moment, Li Hao had such a feeling, as if he could do anything, move mountains and seas, and split mountains and earth, all with just one thought of his. Li Hao didn't try it, but he knew that it could indeed be done. Strength. Supreme power. The entire continent is under his control. Why is this happening? Li Hao already had the answer in his mind. Heart of the continent. Yes, it is the heart of the continent. The 9 dragon veins have been suppressed by Li Hao. The test of the heart of the continent has been passed. So, right now, ding dong, congratulations to the host, you have merged with the heart of the continent and become the master of Tianyuan continent. Ding dong, congratulations to the host, you have received a cultivation reward. Ding dong, congratulations to the host, you have obtained the best spiritual stone *1000000000. In Li Hao's mind, the system's mechanical prompt sounded again, causing Li Hao's whole body to suddenly tremble again. And as the system prompt tone fell, boom! A supreme aura suddenly burst out from Li Hao's body, and Li Hao's cultivation level began to rise at an extremely terrifying speed in an instant. Li Hao's cultivation reached the peak of the divine transformation realm in an instant, and he directly entered the Earth Immortal realm, a low-grade Earth Immortal. However, he still did not stop. Then there is the middle-grade Earth Immortal. In the end, Li Hao's cultivation level reached the level of top-grade Earth Immortal. The avenue is endless and practice is endless. There are many realms above Immortal, starting with Earth Immortal, then Heavenly Immortal, and Golden Immortal. Each realm is divided into 3 levels, lower, middle, and upper. Above Golden Immortal, there is Xian Immortal. 9 levels of Xian Immortal, 1 level and 1 level. You must know that even the 9 demon immortals in front of you are only low-grade earth immortals. As for Ye Hongxiu, who is slightly stronger, he is only a middle-grade earth immortal. Li Hao, on the other hand, went directly from the peak of the divine transformation realm to the high-level earth immortal, and was only one step away from the heavenly immortal. This is simply a qualitative leap. But as Li Hao's cultivation level reached a breakthrough, the system's beep sounded again. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for becoming an earth immortal and being rewarded with the immortal technique 1 Qi transforms 3 purities. Hearing the sound of the system, in an instant, a majestic message poured directly into Li Hao's mind. It was this immortal method 1 Qi transforms 3 purities. Li Hao directly integrated it and understood this. The power of the sect immortal technique. It turns out that this immortal method 1 Qi transforms 3 purities is actually a powerful clone Taoist method. It only requires a drop of blood essence to create a clone. The clone is almost the same as the original body, but its strength is only 1/10 of the clone. 1. Moreover, as the main body becomes stronger, the clone will also become stronger, and the clone can even continue to cultivate and grow independently. However, with Li Hao's current level of cultivation, Li Hao can only condense 1 clone. After cultivating to an advanced level, Li Hao was even able to condense 3 clones. Just thinking about it is scary. If in the future, when fighting against an enemy, 3 clones of the same realm are summoned, what a shocking thing it would be. Looking ahead at the giant python that was sealed by his own power, Li Hao couldn't help but have a sneer on his lips. You can go die. As Li Hao's words fell, Li Hao's palms turned into claws and grabbed the giant python hard. In an instant, it seemed as if supreme power fell on the giant python. The surrounding space and the endless water of the spiritual pool seemed to be squeezing towards the giant python's body. Bang! A dull voice sounded. Immediately, he saw that the body of the giant python exploded and turned into powder, dyeing the entire water of the Lington red. At this point, this giant python fairy died immediately, not even a bit of dregs was left. One of the 9 great demon immortals died. Old 6. Brother 6. Although this scene happened under the Lington, it was felt by the remaining demon immortals above the Lington, and they immediately screamed in surprise. That's right, the giant python that just died was the 6th of the 9 great demon immortals. He had the bloodline of the ancient dragon python. If he practiced for hundreds or thousands of years, he might even transform into a real dragon. But at this moment, he died here. This scene made the remaining demons extremely unbelievable. The next moment, these demon immortals reacted and burst out with extremely powerful power, rushing towards the bottom of the spiritual pool as if they were desperate. Ye Hongxiu was the first to suffer. Ye Hongxiu, who was already unable to hold on, could no longer resist the desperate attacks of these demons. All they saw was another dull collision sound. A sound of blood spurting instantly sounded, and the star demon sword in Ye Hongxiu's hand even came out of his hand. Ye Hongxiu's body fell directly into the distance like a bird with broken wings. An extremely weak feeling suddenly filled Ye Hongxiu's body. After a series of resistance, Ye Hongxiu tried his best, looked through his body, and even used secret techniques, so he could persist for so long. But now, it is really impossible. Ye Hongxiu couldn't even use her strength at all, and even her body was unable to stop it from flying backwards. Seeing it, Ye Hongxiu's body was about to fall heavily in the distance. But at this moment, bang! Another bursting sound suddenly sounded. A figure had already rushed out from under the Lington. With lightning speed, it came directly to the side of Ye Hongxiu's flying body and caught Ye Hongxiu directly. This person is none other than Li Hao. Li Hao stood directly in the void and held Ye Hongxiu's delicate body in his arms. Is it okay? Li Hao said softly to Ye Hongxiu, with a hint of distress in his eyes. If it weren't for Ye Hongxiu to resist these demons and immortals, I might not have a chance to fuse with the heart of the continent. Needless to say, Ye Hongxiu had nothing to say about her kindness. This is another woman that he cannot let down. Li Hao thought so in his heart. But now is not the time to think about this. Li Hao directly took out a spiritual elixir from the system world, and then fed it directly into Ye Hongxiu's mouth. At the same time, in Li Hao's palm holding Ye Hongxiu, there was a powerful and vigorous fairy spirit. The power entered Ye Hongxiu's body. Ye Hongxiu's beautiful eyes widened, and her beautiful eyes were filled with disbelief. She felt Li Hao's majestic power of cultivation. It was clear that he was already an earth immortal, and he was even better than her at the peak. A more powerful earth immortal. How is this possible? Ye Hongxiu's instinct was disbelief. It is the heart of the continent. But in the next moment, Ye Hongxiu thought of it. I'm fine. Ye Hongxiu felt Li Hao's embrace, and a blush appeared on her originally pale face, and she said weakly to Li Hao. With the entrance of Li Hao's elixir and the powerful power of the fairy spirit, Ye Hongxiu's injury was completely healed in just the blink of an eye. Thank you for your hard work. Take over and leave it to me. Li Hao said to Ye Hongxiu again. Ye Hongxiu nodded, obediently came out of Li Hao's arms, and stood behind Li Hao. Then, Li Hao raised his head and looked forward. The remaining 8 demon immortals were already charging toward him with astonishing power. You actually killed Lao Lu. Kill him. Kill him to avenge 6th brother. The 8 demon immortals shouted sternly one after another, their anger filled to the sky, and their eyes filled with incomparable murderous intent. At this moment, they were overwhelmed with anger and hatred and did not realize the seriousness of the problem. Li Hao looked at the scene in front of him calmly, without any change in his expression. Haha. Don't overestimate your own capabilities. I'll show you what it means to shake a tree with an earthworm. Li Hao smiled faintly and said coldly, his voice full of disdain. With Li Hao's current level of cultivation, he no longer paid attention to these demons and immortals in front of him. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 576. As Li Hao finished speaking, a supreme power of cultivation was released from his body. Boom! The powerful momentum swept the entire space. The next moment, Li Hao slowly raised his hand again, facing the sky, and then grabbed it. At this moment, the entire sky seemed to be pulled down by Li Hao. In front, the 8 demon immortals felt a supreme power at this moment, as if the whole world was suppressing them. The bodies of the 8 demon immortals were fixed in the void and could not move. No matter how they resisted, no matter how they struggled with the blood power in their bodies, it was still useless. A sense of shock and fear instantly filled the hearts of the 8 demon immortals. It was extremely terrifying. Then, Li Hao waved his hand again. Bang! The 8 demon immortals were directly hit hard, and their huge bodies instantly fell backwards, with terrible injuries on their bodies, and then fell heavily on the ground in the distance. Bang 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 bang. These 8 demon fairies, at this moment, had no power to resist under Li Hao's hands. Looking at these demon fairies, Li Hao slowly walked towards them again. 9 demon fairies. That's all. You don't know what real power is. Li Hao said to these demon fairies indifferently. With his current cultivation level, he can be said to be standing at the top of this continent. After integrating the heart of the continent, Li Hao felt that everything on the continent seemed to be under his control. Like strolling in the garden, Li Hao has come to the 8 demon fairies, looking coldly at these powerful demon fairies in front of him, with a touch of coldness in his eyes. At this moment, Li Hao no longer takes the 8 demon fairies in front of him seriously. What are you going to do? How is this possible? Earth Immortal. How can you be so powerful? Earth Immortal, have you also broken through to Earth Immortal? You were still in the spiritualization realm just now. At this moment, the 8 demon immortals also felt the terrifying momentum and supreme cultivation power of Li Hao. The other party's cultivation has clearly reached the level of Earth Immortal, and is even more powerful than them. How is this possible? Just a moment ago, this guy was clearly a cultivator at the peak of the spiritualization realm, and they could see that the other party definitely did not hide his cultivation strength. But at this moment, the facts are in front of them again. How could the other party achieve Earth Immortal in such a short time, and his cultivation level jump to above them? It's unbelievable. How can you believe it? At this moment, the hearts of the 8 demon immortals are nothing but shock. Crush. This is a complete crush. They have no power to resist. Now, when they saw that the other party was walking towards them leisurely, with a cold murderous intent in their eyes, the hearts of the 8 demon immortals had fallen to the bottom. Li Hao heard the words of the 8 demon immortals, but his eyes were still extremely cold. 9 demon immortals, it's just like this. Li Hao sneered, and his voice was full of disdain. Don't you want to kill me? Don't you want my demon god power? Come on. Li Hao continued lightly. As Li Hao's voice fell, the shocking power of cultivation was released again, and the extremely terrifying aura of cultivation spread, causing the whole world to change color. At this moment, the entire underground world was shaking constantly, as if it would collapse under the power of Li Hao. Then, Li Hao slowly raised his hand again and grabbed the void in front of him. In an instant, the bodies of the 8 demons were like being held tightly by an invisible giant hand, unable to struggle or resist. The majestic power descended directly on them, and this power was about to crush their bodies. They felt that they would die at any time. An extremely desperate emotion suddenly filled the hearts of the 8 demons. Ah! Please, don't kill me. We were wrong. Ah! The screams came from the mouths of the 8 demons. Please, spare our lives. I can't hold on any longer. We were wrong. Don't kill me, I am willing to recognize you as my master. I am willing to recognize you as my master. The entire demon clan recognizes you as their master, as long as you spare our lives. At this moment, the 8 demons were really facing the coming of death, and finally couldn't hold on, and began to beg Li Hao for mercy. In fact, they have only lived for a few hundred years. From birth to now, they have been in this underground world, and most of them are still practicing desperately. They can also transform into human form after practicing to become Earth Immortals, but they have not yet enjoyed the good life of a demon. If they are going to die here at this moment, they will be very unwilling. Li Hao's expression did not change at all when he heard the words of the 8 demon immortals. Do you know to recognize me as your master now? Li Hao said lightly, sorry, no need. Li Hao really doesn't need them. With his current cultivation, is there any need for them? Besides, as my cultivation level improves, my alchemy level will naturally improve accordingly. There will be no problem in trying to refine real immortal pills in the future. At that time, it will be no problem to cultivate strong people in the earthly realm. Moreover, I also have the blood of the demon god. Any drop of demon god blood can make these ordinary demon beasts transform. Therefore, Li Hao doesn't care about these 8 demon immortals at all. Recognize me as the master? Not possible. If you want to blame you for hurting innocent people. As Li Hao's voice fell, Li Hao's hand suddenly clenched again. Bang! The next moment, the huge bodies of the 8 demon immortals exploded, turning into blood mist all over the sky, and then dissipated with the wind. In an instant, The 8 demon immortals were directly annihilated and no longer existed. Ye Hongxiu, who was next to him, looked at this scene, and a strange fluctuation also appeared in his mind. Did he just die like that? Ye Hongxiu knew that Li Hao was very powerful now, but she didn't know that Li Hao was so powerful that even the 8 demons didn't have the slightest power to fight back. If it were her, the result would be the same. Fortunately, Li Hao was on her side and cared about her. Ye Hongxiu stared at Li Hao in a daze. At this moment, she finally felt that the young man in front of her had changed and needed to look up to him. This was a very strange feeling, but Ye Hongxiu's heart did not have the slightest envy, but was full of pride, thinking that everything was so natural. After Li Hao finished all this, he still stood proudly in the same place, and then looked at the demon beasts around him. At this moment, with the death of the 9 demons, these demon beasts were already extremely frightened, all crawling on the ground, and even some of the weak ones had already been shitting and urinating, and had no backbone. These demon beasts originally obeyed the orders of the 9 demons, but now they were leaderless. But, just a few more breaths later, Li Hao saw that among the endless monsters around him, some monster kings knelt down to him. Yes, they knelt down. Greetings to the Lord Monster God. Greetings to the Lord Monster God. Lord Monster God is so powerful that he has unified the monster race. The next moment, the monster kings spoke in human language and shouted loudly. Lord Monster God. Obviously, these monsters were calling him, and Li Hao did not expect that the scene would appear. As this part of the monster kings knelt down, it was the beginning, and then some monster kings knelt down, followed by those big monsters. More and more monsters knelt down to Li Hao. Later, the entire underground world, these monsters knelt down in unison, whether they were monster kings, big monsters, or even those small monsters, without exception, all did the same. Roar! 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 Especially those little monsters, who have not yet learned to speak human language, can only roar to show their submission to Li Hao. At this moment, all the monsters surrendered to Li Hao. Although Li Hao is a human, he is undoubtedly the king of monsters. At the same time, on the ground, various places on the continent. Holy Mountain of Light. The entire Holy Church of Light has long been in danger. Countless monks of the Holy Church have died in the mouths of monsters, and less than 1/10 of them remain. Even at this moment, those monsters have rushed to the Holy Mountain of Light and rushed to the base camp of their Holy Church. In the entire Holy Church of Light, only a few core figures are still resisting desperately. It seems that the Holy Church of Light, which has been passed down for thousands of years, is about to be destroyed. But at this moment, for some reason, some monks of the Holy Church were surprised to see that the monsters that were about to rush up actually retreated at this moment. Then, more and more monsters stopped their attacks and retreated to the rear. What's going on? Have these monsters retreated? They really retreated. That's great. What happened? Immediately, some people from the Holy Church were excited. They thought they were going to die in the mouths of monsters, but they survived by luck. Thank goodness. This is simply surviving a disaster. Although I don't know what happened, it's a good thing that these monsters retreated. Similar scenes are happening in various places across the continent. The same scene is happening in the country of cars, the country of birds, the country of flowers, the country of romance, and the country of Dongaret. The monsters retreated. On the Chinese side, because of the vast territory, the impact of monsters is greater, the defense line on the border is longer, and more defensive forces are needed. Under the impact of these powerful monsters, the defense line has long been broken, and some monsters have begun to cause chaos in the inland, hurting countless people. As more and more powerful monsters joined the invasion, even the masters could not resist, and some masters had already died in the battle with the monsters. Even Zhao Tianchen was injured. Not only him, but also Li Hao's women, such as Qin Yaking, Ye Xiun, Linda and others, were more or less injured. The situation was not optimistic and precarious. It seemed that the entire China was about to fall. But at this moment, when everyone was preparing to fight, everyone suddenly discovered. These monster beasts stopped attacking in unison. The next moment, countless monsters retreated towards the rear. Where you come from, where you go back. Retired. The tide of monsters has receded. I really quit. That's great. We have won, the monsters have retreated. Dot. Surprised sounds suddenly resounded in the space, followed by endless cheers. The monster has retreated. All the monsters retreated, as if they had received an irresistible order. And this order was naturally given by Li Hao. At this moment, these monsters have received the news of the death of the 9 demon immortals, and they also know that the master of their demon clan has changed. If they don't rush back quickly, they may not survive. It doesn't work. Monsters are also afraid of death. Li Hao looked at these endless monsters kneeling down towards him, but his brows slowly wrinkled again at this moment. How to place so many monsters? This is a problem. With his current cultivation power and formation level, he can continue to confine these monsters in this underground world, but Li Hao feels that this is not a good solution. What's wrong? Just when Li Hao was thinking about how to settle these monsters, Ye Hongxiu came to Li Hao's side again, as if he saw some of Li Hao's problems, and asked softly. It's nothing, I just don't know what to do with these monsters. Li Hao looked at Ye Hongxiu's eyes, shook his head gently, and said lightly. What's there to be anxious about? Just take them all away. Ye Hongxiu heard this and said directly. Li Hao couldn't help but be startled when he heard Ye Hongxiu's words. Take them all away? With your current cultivation strength and the existence of the heart of the continent, it is not an easy task. Perhaps seeing Li Hao's doubts, Ye Hongxiu continued. Isn't there a teleportation array in Nona? Immediately, Ye Hongxiu was seen looking in one direction. Li Hao followed Ye Hongxiu's line of sight and looked up. Then, Li Hao's eyes fell on the altar. The next moment, Li Hao's eyes suddenly burst into light. That's right. Isn't there a ready-made teleportation array? This altar is a huge teleportation array. Although I don't know where the other end is connected, it must be very far away. However, Li Hao naturally knew that this teleportation array had long been broken and could not be used directly. However, with my current cultivation and formation level, repairing it is not a problem at all. As long as I repair this teleportation formation, wouldn't it be enough to send these monsters away? If it doesn't work, just send these powerful monsters away, leaving some weak monsters that pose no threat to the mainland outside. You reminded me. He he. Li Hao grinned and said to Ye Hongxiu. As soon as the voice fell, he started to work directly, so resolutely. The next moment, a sharp light burst out from Li Hao's eyes. Boom! The powerful cultivation power of the top-grade Earth Immortal swept out at this moment, and the unparalleled momentum shook the sky, causing the world to change color. Then, I saw that with Li Hao's thought and raising his hand, the whole earth started to move. I am the master of the mainland, and the heaven and earth follow my heart. Li Hao, who has merged with the heart of the continent, is invincible in this world, and the entire continent is under Li Hao's control. And as Li Hao's will surged, the world beneath his feet also began to rotate. At this moment, it was like the earth was turned upside down, and a hole was torn open in the sky, as if it was connected to the outside of the mainland. Immediately afterwards, Li Hao directly activated the spiritual veins underneath, and the rich spiritual energy continued to be released, and then poured into the mainland through the opening in the sky. On the entire continent, the spiritual energy that was originally lacking and thin began to revive at this moment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tien Taido. Chapter 577. As Li Hao's spiritual veins were activated, the spiritual energy on the entire continent, which was originally scarce and thin, began to revive at this moment. At this moment, the people on the entire continent were all shocked and felt refreshed, as if, at this moment, the air between heaven and earth became much clearer. As for those cultivators, they also widened their eyes at this moment, and an uncontrollable excitement arose in their hearts. Such a rich spiritual energy. The spiritual energy between heaven and earth seems to have become more rich. What happened? I feel that my cultivation is about to break through. As the spiritual energy on the continent revived, countless cultivators made excited voices, and many people even sat cross-legged and began to absorb the spiritual energy to practice. In the past, this continent was short of spiritual energy and extremely thin. Only the spiritual energy on some fairy mountains and holy places was slightly richer, so everyone practiced very slowly and it was difficult to improve their cultivation level. As a result, there were very few masters in the transformation realm on the entire continent, and they were already standing at the top of the continent. But from this moment on, everything has changed dramatically. Spiritual energy is revived. I believe that it won't be long before more and more cultivators and more powerful people will appear on this continent, and everyone can practice. Li Hao has integrated the heart of the continent, and now he has transformed this continent with his own power. This move will benefit everyone on the continent. This is also what Li Hao can do easily at this moment. Looking at Li Hao's actions, Ye Hongxiu's beautiful eyes gave birth to a glimmer of light again, and then nodded slightly. This may be what the master of the continent should do, to seek welfare for the cultivators of the entire continent. In fact, Li Hao didn't think too much, but just felt that these spiritual veins were too wasteful in this underground, and the spiritual energy outside was so thin. If the spiritual energy outside was as rich as this underground world, would it be impossible to resist the invasion of these monsters? But from now on, everything has become different, and the entire underground world is completely connected to the continent. After doing all this, Li Hao looked at the altar in front of him, which is the so-called teleportation array. It's almost time to leave. Li Hao murmured, with a sharp look in his eyes. As Li Hao's cultivation level was raised to the upper grade Earth Immortal, although Li Hao had integrated the heart of the continent, Li Hao had a very strange feeling. That is, this world, or in other words, the starry sky where this continent is located, can no longer accommodate him. That's right. This world can no longer accommodate him. At his current cultivation level, the power contained in his body has exceeded the limit that this world can bear. If he doesn't leave, this world may collapse directly, and at that time, the entire continent may no longer exist. This feeling did not arise out of thin air, but slowly emerged after Li Hao's cultivation level had just broken through. Moreover, as time passed, this feeling became stronger and stronger. Li Hao knew that there was not much time left for him, and he should leave. What is the world outside like? Li Hao couldn't help but feel curious again, and he wanted to see the outside world. A real man, born between heaven and earth, should keep moving forward. Thinking of this, Li Hao's eyes became more determined. Then, Li Hao released the supreme power of cultivation again. Li Hao waved his hand, and the wind and clouds rolled back again, and the powerful spiritual power went towards the direction of the teleportation array. Then, countless seals were formed on Li Hao's hands and fell towards the teleportation array. Boom! Boom boom boom! At this moment, the whole earth trembled endlessly. I saw that in an instant, there was a dazzling light shining on the teleportation array in front, and countless magical runes flowed in the void, and a pure power was released from this teleportation array. It seemed that a portal appeared in this teleportation array, and the portal was connected to the other side of nothingness. This is the teleportation array that was repaired by Li Hao and activated directly. As the teleportation array was activated, the mountain under the teleportation array suddenly rose again. Then, the teleportation array continued to rise, from the crack in the sky all the way up, and then went to the continent. At this moment, everyone on the continent clearly saw that a mountain rushed out from the ground and stood directly on this continent. What is that? How could a mountain suddenly appear? Some people looked at the scene and made a surprised sound. Teleportation array. It's that teleportation array. I didn't expect that this teleportation array actually exists. It is said that there is a teleportation array left over from ancient times on this continent. That teleportation array connects to an unknown world. Some monks who have lived for a long time saw the appearance of this teleportation array at this moment and remembered a shocking rumor. At this moment, everyone stared at the mountain that appeared in front of them in a daze, and their hearts were extremely shocked. At this moment, Li Hao, the instigator, was thinking about the countless monsters around him. Li Hao didn't know what was happening on the other side of the teleportation array. If he rashly teleported these monsters, it might cause some unnecessary trouble. Moreover, no matter what teleportation array it was, every teleportation would consume a huge amount of energy. If he teleported these monster kings and big monsters one by one, even if Li Hao had millions of top-grade spirit stones, it might not be enough. Therefore, teleporting these monsters one by one was not a solution. Fortunately, Li Hao soon thought of another solution. Now, teleport these monsters? I'm afraid the consumption is a bit high. The spirit stones in my cave may not be enough. Ye Hongxiu, who was next to him, also thought of this and asked Li Hao. No need. Li Hao shook his head lightly. While Ye Hongxiu was puzzled, Li Hao waved his hand directly at the monsters in front of him. In an instant, a strange force emanated. Then, Ye Hongxiu saw that the figures of the demon kings and big demons disappeared directly, as if they were collected out of thin air. Is this a space magic weapon? Seeing this scene, Ye Hongxiu's eyes also showed a hint of surprise. These demon kings and big demons did not disappear for no reason, but were collected by the guy in front of him. It should be a magic weapon like space storage, and it is not an ordinary magic weapon, otherwise, so many demon kings and big demons would never be stored in it. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 578. In fact, this is not a space magic weapon. Rather, Li Hao's system world. Li Hao's system world is an independent space, and as Li Hao's cultivation improves, the space in this system world becomes wider and wider. At this moment, the space in this system world has become wider than this underground world. Therefore, it is not a problem at all to hold these demon kings, big demons, etc. This is also the best way. With a wave of Li Hao's hand, more and more demon kings and great demons were received into the system world by Li Hao. In just a moment, there was not a single big demon or demon king level monster left among the monsters in the entire underground world. After doing all this, Li Hao raised his head and looked in the direction of the teleportation array. Li Hao felt some changes in the whole world due to his own cultivation, and his heart was filled with concentration. I have to go. With my current cultivation level, I have already exceeded the limit that this world and this continent can bear. My existence has caused some changes in the rules of the world. If I continue to stay, I am afraid that the world will collapse and give me time is running out. But even if you want to leave, you have to say goodbye before saying goodbye. You can't leave without saying goodbye. There are so many women who care about him waiting for him. And I don't know when I will come back after leaving. Li Hao is not an irresponsible person. The next moment, Li Hao moved directly and flew away in the wind. In just a blink of an eye, Li Hao's figure had returned to China, which was almost like teleportation. Ye Xiun, Qin Yaking, Linda and others had just calmed down a little from the fierce battle before, with great joy in their hearts. Not only them, there are also some strong men from the Chinese country not far away, including the top leaders of the 9 garrison, and strong masters like Zhao Tianxian. Although these strong men have already been decorated, their faces, but there was an excitement that was difficult to conceal. The monster retreated, and they prevented this disaster. As the saying goes, if you survive a catastrophe, you will be blessed later. Moreover, the most important thing is that the spiritual energy has also been revived. Such a rich spiritual energy has greatly increased their upper limit. The righteous earth immortal will not be a fantasy. Just when everyone was in the excitement of the monster retreating and some doubts, everyone saw that an arrogant figure appeared in front of them out of thin air. The next moment, everyone saw the person clearly, and their hearts were suddenly shocked. Especially those who knew Li Hao, a shocking thought suddenly came into their hearts. They had never seen Li Hao before, but with Li Hao's identity, it was impossible not to fight against the monsters with them. But at this moment, the monster retreated for unknown reasons, and Li Hao also appeared. Is it a coincidence? Still. Grandmaster Li. It's Mr. Li, the protector of the country. Master Li is back. Could it be Mr. Li? Sounds came from the mouths of these people. Meet the protector. Meet the protector. The strong men of the 9 major garrison have already remembered Li Hao's appearance in their hearts, and they all know Li Hao. When they saw Li Hao appear, they all shouted to Li Hao again, their voices filled with respectfully. Li Hao is a belief-like existence in their hearts, and is even more legendary among the garrison. Li Hao! Li Hao! Ye Xiun, Qin Yaking and other girls also saw Li Hao and couldn't help shouting, with a touch of joy in their beautiful eyes. In fact, a beautiful figure rushed directly towards Li Hao and threw herself into Li Hao's arms. It was Linda. Linda, who grew up abroad, has a cheerful personality and an open mind. What's more, she has already had the closest relationship with Li Hao, so even in front of everyone, Linda is not shy at all. He immediately jumped into Li Hao's arms and hugged Li Hao tightly. Boss, you are finally back. Where did you go? Everyone is injured. Linda immediately said to Li Hao again. Li Hao naturally hugged Linda's slender waist and said with a smile. Are you hurt? Oh, come on, be good, just take a pill and you'll be fine. Li Hao directly took out another pill from the system world and gently stuffed it into Linda's cherry mouth. Behind them, Qin Yaking, Ye Xiun and other women saw the scene and immediately became unhappy, especially Ye Xiun, who stamped her feet in anger. Damn it, it's really despicable. Scumbag. Tui. Ye Xiun said angrily while stamping her feet. Just now, she originally wanted to rush forward, but there were so many pairs of eyes around her looking at her, which made her feel embarrassed for a moment, so she hesitated. Unexpectedly, with just such a moment of hesitation, someone had already rushed into Li Hao's arms before her. Therefore, Ye Xiun felt very uncomfortable when she saw that the person in Li Hao's arms was not her. Qin Yaking next to her didn't say anything, she just looked straight at the scene, with a cold look in her beautiful eyes, standing there like an iceberg. Obviously, although Qin Yaking didn't say anything, it was obvious that she was a little unhappy. Are you okay now? I have something serious to say. Li Hao said something to Linda in his arms again, and then directly let go of Linda. Then, Li Hao walked straight towards Ye Xiun and Qin Yaking. Hey, this little beauty, who are you calling a scumbag? Li Hao looked at the angry Ye Xiun and wanted to laugh. He came to Ye Xiun and joked to Ye Xiun. Although Ye Xiun just spoke in a low voice and there was still a distance between them, for Li Hao, how can you not hear it? After saying this, Li Hao reached out and hugged Ye Xiun. Humph. Ye Xiun snorted coldly and stared at Li Hao with a pair of beautiful eyes. Before she could react, She was gently hugged by Li Hao. You. Yeshun widened her eyes and looked at Li Hao, who was so close. She couldn't get away even if she tried to struggle. Her pretty face turned crimson instantly. She didn't expect Li Hao to be so bold. There were so many people here. People are watching. Really, really ashamed. Yeshun felt weak all over. Are you injured too? Come on, take one too. Li Hao didn't care whether Yeshun wanted it or not, and directly stuffed another pill into Yeshun's mouth. After doing all this, Li Hao let go of Yeshun, and then slowly walked towards Qin Yaking behind him. Scumbag, don't touch me. Before Li Hao reached out to hug Qin Yaking had already said coldly, looking like a giant thousands of miles away. Li Hao couldn't help but be stunned when he heard this. Immediately, Li Hao said lightly. I'm leaving. See you next time. I don't know when. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 579. I'm leaving. See you next time. I don't know when. As Li Hao finished speaking, Qin Yaking's pretty expression suddenly changed. Li Hao's words inexplicably made Qin Yaking feel a little flustered, as if something important was leaving her. You're leaving? Where are you going? Qin Yaking frowned and said directly to Li Hao, but she had a bad premonition. I don't know where it is, but it should be very far away. Li Hao said lightly, with a touch of melancholy in his voice. Boss, are you leaving? At this time, Linda heard Li Hao's words and came to Li Hao's side and asked him. Yeshun, who was beside him, naturally heard Li Hao's words and couldn't help but look at Li Hao. Although she didn't speak, there was a strange look in her eyes. That's right, the monster has retreated and will not cause trouble to this continent again. Li Hao said slowly again. As soon as Li Hao said this, Zhao Tianchen and others were shocked. They could tell that Li Hao was telling the truth. Obviously, the reason why the monster retreated just now was because of the young man in front of them. I came back to say goodbye. Linda, Yaking, Xiun, Xiaoqing. Sanyang, Zhangdi. I'm leaving, take care of yourself. Then, Li Hao said again, sweeping his eyes around and calling the names of familiar people. Young master. Are you already a fairy? At this time, Sanyang Genren couldn't help asking Li Hao again, asking the question he was most curious about. As soon as Sanyang Genren said this, Zhao Tianchen and others not far away were shocked again, and they also looked straight at Li Hao, wanting to verify their inner thoughts. From the moment Li Hao appeared just now, they felt a transcendent temperament on Li Hao's body. Standing there, it seemed to be above the heaven and earth. The whole space could not bear his power. This was clearly not something that an ordinary god-transforming realm could do. Li Hao nodded lightly and agreed directly. His Earth Immortal. He is actually an Earth Immortal. Immediately, there was a sound of sucking in cold air from the mouths of the powerful people around. At this moment, everyone's heart was shocked to the extreme. Why do you want to leave? Can't you not leave? Linda asked Li Hao again. Her mood was already bad and she was very reluctant to leave. Li Hao shook his head again, and then said in a deep voice. This world can no longer accommodate me. If I continue to stay, this continent may no longer exist. I can't not leave. But don't worry, I will come back. Wait for me. Okay, it's almost time. I should go. As Li Hao's voice fell, Li Hao looked up at the towering teleportation array not far away, and his eyes turned into a firm look. As soon as the voice fell, Li Hao's figure flew up directly, and stepped on the void towards the teleportation array. Li Hao. Behind, Qin Yaking watched this scene, and finally couldn't help shouting to Li Hao. Li Hao turned his head and looked at Qin Yaking. Qin Yaking shouted loudly to Li Hao again, "You'd better not die outside." "Haha, don't worry, I won't die. Who will you marry if I die?" Li Hao laughed again, and then went forward. Hearing Li Hao's words, Qin Yaking's heart couldn't help but move, and a touch of crystal appeared in her beautiful eyes, but Qin Yaking didn't show it too obviously, and tried hard not to let the tears flow down. "Li Hao. Boss." Beside, Ye Xiun, Linda, Chu Xiaoqing and others couldn't help shouting, and Chu Xiaoking's face was already blurred with tears. But Li Hao didn't hesitate anymore, and walked straight into the teleportation array. Hesitation is not allowed, and hesitation will lead to defeat. At this moment, Li Hao was the center of everyone's attention. The next moment, everyone saw that an extremely dazzling light appeared on the teleportation array, and Li Hao also walked into the center of the teleportation array. Then, the brilliant divine light wrapped Li Hao's body around, and actually dragged Li Hao's body upwards, towards the sky. The brilliant light illuminated the world, and as the teleportation array was activated, a passage seemed to appear above the sky, leading to an unknown world. At this moment, Li Hao's body was shining with divine light, as if he had ascended to heaven, so extraordinary. To become an immortal and ascend to heaven is just like this. Everyone stared at the scene in a daze, without blinking, and their hearts were greatly moved. Everyone had the same idea, that is, Li Hao in front of them, truly ascended to the fairyland. This scene was deeply imprinted in the hearts of everyone present, and I am afraid it will be unforgettable forever. In the next moment, everyone was shocked to see that when the brilliant divine light lifted Li Hao up to the sky, it turned into a stream of light and directly entered the passage on the sky, and then disappeared. The next moment, the divine light dissipated, and the brilliance on the teleportation array also dissipated. Between the whole world, Li Hao's figure was no longer seen. Li Hao left, and in everyone's opinion, he ascended to the fairyland. In fact, Li Hao was teleported away by the teleportation array. It was not until a moment later that everyone came back to their senses. Gone. Really gone. The protector of the nation has ascended. Someone murmured again, but his heart was still uneasy. Gone, he's really gone. Ye Xiun stared at the scene blankly, and then tears could not stop falling. How could he do this? He just left when he said he would. Ye Xiun said resentfully, he still had time to say goodbye. Boss, how could you leave me? Woo woo woo. What should I do if you leave? On the side, Linda was also crying, at a loss for a moment, feeling like the sky was about to fall. Chu Xiaoqing did not speak, and tears fell from her beautiful eyes. Qin Yaking was also stunned in the same place, still looking at the direction where Li Hao disappeared. Qin Yaking clearly felt that there was no trace of Li Hao in the whole world. Who wants to marry you? You actually left like this. How abominable. Qin Yaking said with a pout, but gnashing her teeth. I'm leaving too, take care. If you are worried about him, leave it to me. Looking at the girls' lost souls, Ye Hongxiu couldn't help but speak out. The girls heard the words, and their hearts were in turmoil. Before they could speak, they saw that the stunning woman in a white dress was also heading towards the teleportation array. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 580. Soon, Ye Hongxiu's figure also directly entered the teleportation array. Whoosh. All I saw was that divine light was released from Ye Hongxiu's body, and a powerful force of space enveloped Ye Hongxiu. Then it turned directly into a stream of rainbow and headed towards the sky, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Ye Hongxiu also left, following Li Hao's footsteps. She had been sleeping in this world for thousands of years. When she woke up, things had changed, people had changed, and everything had become strange. Ye Hongxiu had nothing to miss here, so she chose to leave without hesitation. She had been waiting for a long time, just for now. Go to the new world, maybe there, you can still see people from the past, including the people who put her to sleep. Everyone stared at the scene blankly, with huge waves in their hearts. After leaving, another one left. What is it like over there? Someone murmured, becoming somewhat curious about the world on the other side of the teleportation array. At this moment, many people present felt the same way, and they all had a curious thought. What is the world like over there? On the other side, when Qin Yaking and the other girls saw this scene, their expressions changed again. This stunning woman also followed Li Hao, but they could only watch helplessly. Li Hao is gone. I don't know when we will see each other next time. Wait. How long will it take? For a time, the hearts of these women hit rock bottom. Qin Yaking watched the scene quietly, but her heart was extremely uneasy. After Li Hao left, she always felt that she had lost the most important thing, and she felt an inexplicable sense of loss. But after a moment, Qin Yaking's eyes slowly became firm again, and her heart could no longer tolerate other people. Just wait for me. Qin Yaking said in a low voice. She had already made up her mind. Earthly immortal, right? As long as you are an earth immortal, you can ascend, right? Qin Yaking believed that as long as she worked hard, it might not take long before she was no longer an ordinary person. After having a close relationship with Li Hao, her body and bloodline had also undergone earth-shaking changes, and she was already a strong person in the realm of pill formation. What's more, now, the spiritual energy on this continent has revived, and the spiritual energy has become extremely rich and abundant. If it is practiced, the speed will not be much faster. Qin Yaking firmly believed that as long as she practiced seriously, it would not be long before she could become an earth immortal. By then, she would be able to follow in Li Hao's footsteps. She also wanted to see what the outside world was like. Thinking of this, Qin Yaking swept away the displeasure in her heart and became full of confidence. The next moment, Qin Yaking turned around and left without the slightest hesitation. Yaking. Why are you going? Ye Xiun looked at the scene and couldn't help but ask Qin Yaking. Nowadays, they can be said to be on the same front, and she and Qin Yaking are relatively familiar. Go back and practice. Qin Yaking said 4 words calmly without looking back. When Ye Xiun heard Qin Yaking's words, she was suddenly shocked again, as if she was just waking up from a dream. Cultivation is something Ye Xiun has never thought about. Although she is now a monk, and also a monk in the Dan formation realm, she did not actively practice, and she just naturally achieved her current level of cultivation. If you want to pursue Li Hao, there is only one way. The next moment, Ye Xiun's eyes became firm. Li Hao, I will find you. Ye Xiun looked at the teleportation array in the sky and murmured. Immediately, Ye Xiun also turned around and left. Then, Chu Xiaoqing, Sanyang Taoist, Zhangdi Dharma King and others also had the same idea in their hearts as Qin Yaking and others. With the current intensity of spiritual energy, it is very possible for them to become earth immortals. Soon, Master Sanyang and the others dispersed. There are only some strong men from the Chinese garrison left here, as well as some strong men from other families. Suddenly, a figure soared into the sky in the direction of the teleportation array. This is a pill-forming monk who may want to enter the teleportation array to try. But soon, when the monk had not rushed into the teleportation array. Boom! I saw a pure force bursting out from the teleportation array. Immediately afterwards. Bang! A dull sound resounded in this space. Immediately, everyone saw that the monk in the Danja realm was directly blown away. His whole body seemed to have been hit hard, blood was vomited from his mouth, and finally he fell heavily to the distance, unable to even stand still. It was obviously a direct hit. When the other monks saw this scene, they were suddenly shocked. Sure enough, this teleportation array is not accessible to just anyone. After a while, even some strong masters gave it a try, but in the end they were still knocked back and had no choice but to give up. When the monks saw that even the powerful masters could not get in, they accepted this fact and quickly dispersed. Each goes back to his own home, each finds his own mother, and goes back to practice hard. In this environment where the spiritual energy is recovering, they will not have no chance to become immortals in the right way. When the time comes, they will break out of this continent. The sea will be vast and the sky will be high. Birds fly. Li Hao could clearly feel that his body was rapidly shuttling through the void, and he couldn't even sense the passage of time. After an unknown amount of time, the surrounding scene changed again. Li Hao walked out of a teleportation array. Looking at the surrounding scene, Li Hao couldn't help but feel a bit of concentration in his heart. There are mountains here, and the mountains are in the void. There are palaces and jade buildings on the mountains, like fairy palaces. The most important thing is that the richness of the spiritual energy here is beyond Li Hao's imagination. The most important thing is that this spiritual energy is somewhat different from the spiritual energy that Li Hao absorbed before. There seems to be a touch of fairy power in this spiritual energy. Where is this? Is it the so-called fairyland? Li Hao couldn't help but feel a bit of doubt in his heart. Huh? Another person from the lower world has come. At this moment, a voice came from his ear, which made Li Hao come back to his senses. Li Hao then noticed that the place where he was now seemed to be on a huge square. There were two people next to him, both wearing white robes. At this moment, one of them looked at Li Hao and said. But at this moment, Li Hao felt a terrifying power of cultivation from these two people. The two people in front of him had a higher cultivation level than himself, at least at the level of celestial immortals, which made Li Hao's heart condense. This place is really terrifying. I just ran into two people with such powerful cultivation. Moreover, Li Hao felt a strong aura from the surroundings. The weakest one was a middle-grade Earth Immortal. Upper-grade Earth Immortal? The cultivation is not bad, but it's a pity. At this time, another person swept his eyes over Li Hao, and at a glance, he seemed to see through Li Hao's cultivation, and sighed again. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 581. It's a pity. The other party's words, without any cover-up, were directly transmitted to Li Hao's ears, which made Li Hao condense. What does this mean? It seems to be talking about himself. Li Hao's brows could not help but frown again, and he saw a hint of disdain in the other party's eyes. Why is this? This is the first time the other party has seen him. Li Hao was a little confused and couldn't figure it out. Li Hao then saw that there were actually many teleportation arrays next to his teleportation array. These teleportation arrays seemed to be connected to different places, and there were as many as 7 or 8 of them, and the teleportation array where Li Hao was located was at the edge of these teleportation arrays. At this moment, the teleportation array that was lit up was the one in the middle, which was like a huge square, and these teleportation arrays were in this square. There were already more than a dozen figures standing in this square, and they looked like they had just arrived here. When he appeared, these people's eyes fell on him, and Li Hao could clearly feel the coldness in their eyes, as if they were superior. Li Hao was really confused. He didn't know these people at all, and he didn't seem to know them. However, at this moment, a strong light shone next to him, attracting attention. The two guys in white clothes couldn't help but turn their eyes. They saw that a woman in a blue dress walked out of the teleportation array. This was an extremely beautiful woman, with delicate facial features, beautiful face, and a very slender and tall figure. She was very attractive in the right places, and she was almost as beautiful as a country. However, when this woman appeared, everyone around her looked at her, but their eyes were obviously different from their eyes when they looked at themselves. There is no doubt that at this moment, this woman was the center and focus of the whole scene. Moreover, when these people saw this woman, their eyes were clearly filled with something extraordinary, especially some men, who even had a hint of admiration. Is it because she is a beauty? Maybe. But not all. Wow, she is so beautiful. If I remember correctly, that teleportation array is the teleportation array of Zhongzhou, right? This woman is from Zhongzhou. She is actually from Zhongzhou. This woman must be of extraordinary status. She seems to be quite strong. As this woman appeared, some voices came out from the crowd, and there was a touch of shock in the voices. Obviously, these people have seen the origin of this woman from the location of the teleportation array, and this woman is from Zhongzhou. Because this woman came out of the teleportation array connected to Zhongzhou. Zhongzhou is the central region of the Haoshan immortal realm, and it is also the headquarters of the Haoshan immortal dynasty. It is the most powerful and influential region, and it is the center of the Haoshan immortal realm. And this woman, coming from Zhongzhou, naturally attracted the attention of everyone present. Such a young and beautiful woman, her identity is probably extraordinary, and there may be a huge monster behind her. This time, the Tianxing sect recruited disciples and attracted young geniuses from all continents. This woman naturally came for this purpose, but it is very likely that she is the descendant of a big force who came to the Xiandao sect for training. The appearance of this woman caused a great shock, and the aura of cultivation exuded from this woman was not weak at all. Li Hao had a reminder system on him, so he could naturally see the cultivation of these people present clearly at a glance. This woman was actually a celestial fairy, a lower-grade celestial fairy. This cultivation is really strong. Soon, everyone put away their thoughts and looked at other teleportation arrays. Because, at this moment, after this woman appeared, the teleportation arrays next to her lit up with shining lights one after another. One after another, proud figures walked out of these teleportation arrays. There were both men and women, but they all looked to be in their 20s or 30s, and they were very young. As for their cultivation, the lowest were all middle-grade earth immortals, and the strongest were even lower-grade heavenly immortals. The woman in a blue skirt who appeared before was one of them. Soon, no less than 30 people gathered on the square, all from various places. Look, that formation seems to be from Bihanzhou. That guy has a very cold aura. Especially his sword, it feels like ice. Suddenly, at this time, another formation light lit up. This teleportation formation was next to the teleportation formation that the woman walked out of before. At this moment, a man in a white robe walked out of this teleportation formation. This man looked very handsome, with long hair scattered behind him and a long sword on his back. The whole person, including the sword, exuded a sense of coldness. He stood there, as if the entire space was about to freeze. When he appeared at this moment, he also attracted the attention of many people. Someone recognized the man's origin from the teleportation array. He was from Bihan continent in the Haoshan immortal realm. Most people from Bihan continent have such a unique temperament. Bihanzhou is located in the north of Haoshan immortal realm. It is very cold because of the snow all year round. Most of the cultivators there practice cold attributed Taoism and have a cold temperament. Moreover, the overall strength of Bihanzhou is also very strong, and there are many powerful sects. Not bad, another low-grade celestial being. This time, our Tianxing sect should be able to receive a few good seedlings. Not far away, the two men in white robes also looked at the young cultivator from Bihanzhou at this moment, and one of them nodded and said, "Well, it's still early, there should be many people coming. Our Tianxing sect is a high-level sect. How many people want to join our Tianxing sect? The other person also said, and when he talked about his own sect, there was a hint of pride in his voice. The two people's words were not concealed at all, and Li Hao naturally heard them clearly. Tianxing sect? High-level sect? Received good seedlings. Hearing this, Li Hao couldn't help but understand something in his heart. Soon, Li Hao confirmed what he had in mind through the words of the cultivators around him. Li Hao also understood the situation of the world in front of him. It turned out that this was a place called Haoshan Immortal Realm, which was a fairy land with immortal spirit in this universe, also known as the Upper World. This Haoshan Immortal Realm was divided into several areas. Zhongzhou, Yuzhou, Bihanzhou, Jilazhou, Nanman Land, East China Sea Coast, and Sea of Nothingness. These 7 areas are the main areas of the Haoshan Immortal Realm. Of course, there are some more special places, such as some small cave realms, secret realm remnants, and some void continents, which were unified into the lower world by the Haoshan Immortal Realm. The cave realm was originally the cave of a powerful cultivator, and later turned into a small world. The secret realm remnants, like the cave realm, are small worlds formed by the remnants of some previously existing secret realms. As for the void continent, it is a small world gradually formed by some continental fragments floating in the void because of the existence of some rules. However, whether it is the cave world, the secret world, or the void continent, they are all places with extremely scarce spiritual energy or abandoned places, so they are called the lower world by the people in the fairy world. At this moment, the location here is the Yuzhou of Haoshan Fairyland, Tianxing sect. Tianxing sect recruits disciples once every 20 years. At this moment, young Tianjiao monks from various places came here to participate in the Tianxing sect's recruitment of disciples. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 582. Tianxing sect, as one of the few high-level sects, is also very powerful and has a great reputation in Yuzhou. Therefore, the Tianxing sect's recruitment of disciples this time has attracted great attention in the entire Haoshan immortal world. Young talents of the right age from various regions have rushed here, hoping to pass the Tianxing sect's disciple recruitment test, so as to become a true member of the Tianxing sect. The 2 men in white clothes in front are the inner disciples of Tianxing section. They are arranged to come here to welcome these geniuses. Seeing more and more geniuses coming from various regions in the field, the faces of the 2 men are also confused. A faint smile appeared. Soon, as time passed, more and more figures came out of these teleportation arrays. Just half an hour later, no less than 100 people had gathered in the entire square, and the number was still increasing at a terrifying speed. At some point, a powerful ray of light shone from the teleportation array that the woman just walked out of, and a proud voice came out of the teleportation array. This was a young man who looked to be in his 20s, with an unruly temperament. As soon as he appeared, his eyes glanced directly at the square. Is this the Tianxing sect? After taking a look at the surrounding environment, the young man said lightly, and then his eyes fell on the 2 men of Tianxing sect. Are you from the Tianxing sect? The young man asked directly to the 2 Tianxing sect men, with a hint of arrogance in his voice. That's right. Who are you? After hearing the young man's words, the 2 men's expressions could not help but darken, their brows furrowed slightly, and one of the men suddenly said, "The royal family of Zhongzhou, the king's law." The young man reported out of the house calmly, with a sense of pride in his eyes, as if he didn't take anyone seriously. When the young man said these words, the eyes of the 2 Tianxing sect men sharpened again. Not only the two of them were like this, but the eyes of the geniuses who came from other places in the field were shocked, even when there was an uproar. The Wang family of Zhongzhou? This guy is actually a member of the Wang family of Zhongzhou. The Wang family in Zhongzhou is one of the 5 major families in Zhongzhou. The ancestor of the Wang family is said to be the immortal king. This guy is actually from the Wang family, no wonder he is so crazy. King Deifa. Deifa. Zhichen is quite domineering. Among the 5 major families in Zhongzhou, Situ, king of Qinchenhua, this Wang family is one of them. These people are almost here, why haven't you started yet? I came here specifically from Zhongzhou this time, and I am determined to win the core disciples. Seeing the shocked expressions on the faces of the people around him, Wang Deifa's face suddenly showed an incomparable sense of pride. He felt that his vanity was greatly satisfied, and he immediately faced the 2 Tianxing sect members again. Said a man. Hearing Wang Deifa's words, the 2 Tianxing sect men showed obvious displeasure on their faces, and they immediately said coldly, "Core disciple? Haha, what a big tone. Even if you are a member of the Wang family people, but if you want to join our Tianxing sect, you must abide by our Tianxing sect's rules. Everything depends on your talent and strength. What's more, even if you become a core disciple, you still have to call us senior brother. We have our own discretion whether to start or not, it's not you who has the final say." One of them said to Wang Deifa coldly, without being too polite, and a powerful cultivation aura was immediately released from his body, and the cultivation aura of a top-grade heavenly immortal was undoubtedly revealed. In an instant, there was a strong pressure of cultivation moving forward and descending on this king. The guy in front of me is too arrogant. This is not good. Since you want to join his Tianxing sect, you have to keep a low profile and abide by their rules. At this moment, Wang Deifa felt the cultivation pressure coming from this man, and his whole person suddenly changed. Immediately, Wang Deifa also released the power of cultivation instantly. A middle-grade immortal. The powerful fairy power circulated on Wang Deifa's body, and Wang Deifa endured it, and a sharp light burst out in his eyes. "Huh? You want to fight?" Wang Deifa said sternly, his voice full of displeasure. Even though he was facing a member of the Tianxing sect, and he had not yet joined the Tianxing sect, Wang Deifa, as a member of the Wang family in Zhongzhou, did not show the slightest hint of cowardice. Just want to fight. What about the people of the Wang family in Zhongzhou? This is the Tianxing sect. The man opposite also said in a cold voice, "In that case, let me test your strength first. Remember my name, Tianxing sect, inner disciple, Gao Zhan." And as the man named Gao Zhan finished speaking, the strong power of cultivation swept through him, causing the entire space to vibrate. Seeing this scene, everyone around them had already retreated towards the back, giving way to the center of the square. What a powerful aura! Is this just an inner disciple of Tianxing sect? It is said that above the inner disciples, there are also core disciples and direct disciples. Is there going to be a fight? This guy is so crazy. There's something good to watch. People from the Wang family are so awesome. They dare to challenge the inner disciples of Tianxing sect. Suddenly, a series of uproarious sounds suddenly came from the mouths of these people, and everyone had the mentality of watching a show. Take action. Use all your strength. This Tianxing sect member named Gao Zhan said to Wang Deifa in a cold voice again. When Wang Deifa heard this, his expression hardened again. The next moment, Wang Deifa's palm quickly formed seals. Around Wang Deifa's body, there was a light of Holy Spirit shining out, as if his body had turned into a huge furnace, the Dao furnace. Above this great furnace, there is a supreme power flowing. This is the Tao method practiced by Wang Deifa, and it is also his most powerful attack method. As Wang Deifa's palms were pushed out, This huge furnace directly carried the supreme power towards the direction of Gaozhan, with a shocking momentum. Across the way, when Gaozhan saw this scene, a hint of disdain appeared on his lips. The next moment, another sharp light flashed in Gaozhan's eyes. Suddenly, a strong fighting spirit arose from Gaozhan's body. Yes, it is the fighting spirit. This fighting spirit seems to be materialized and clearly visible. And as this fighting spirit rose to the extreme, Gaozhan's aura also rose to the extreme, and the surface of his body actually turned into a layer of armor. Armor of fighting spirit. Gaozhan transformed into a war king, wearing battle armor, with overwhelming fighting spirit and invincible. Immediately afterwards, everyone saw the man named Gaozhan punch out again. One punch. Like the fist of the war king. The punch came out with overwhelming fighting intent, and wherever it passed, the space collapsed as if it could not bear the force. Gaozhan didn't have any reservations, he just punched this powerful punch. He wanted to let the guy in front of him know what it meant to be ungrateful. All I saw was that the great avenue furnace and the fighting king's fist collided directly. Boom! Immediately, a powerful roaring sound resounded, reaching into the sky. Everyone was shocked to see that under the overwhelming power of the Battle King's fist, Wang Daifa's avenue furnace exploded directly. A large mouthful of blood spurted out from Wang Daifa's mouth, and then in horror, his body retreated directly back. The difference is obvious, and it's not just a tiny bit. This can even be said to be a crushing, but the Gaozhan on the opposite side is only one level higher than him. A member of the Wang family in Zhongzhou? That's all. That's it? Still want to be a core disciple. Gaozhan calmed down his momentum, looked at Wang Daifa in front of him who was injured by his punch, and said lightly, as an inner disciple of Tianxing sect, he can be selected by the sect to lead this group of newcomers. Naturally also has certain strength. At least, it's not a problem to shock these guys in front of you. Sometimes, it is still necessary to teach a lesson to scare the monkeys and teach this kind of thorn. Although Gaozhan also attaches great importance to people from such a big family. Their backgrounds are deep and their talents are very strong. Given time, they will be able to improve their cultivation very soon. To catch up with them, but at this moment, we still want to let them know what it means to have a sky beyond the sky. On the opposite side, Wang Daifa wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. After hearing Gaozhan's words, his face became a little ugly. A slap in the face? It's really a slap in the face? It even lost the face of the Wang family. Although he still has his trump card that he has not used yet, this is not a life and death battle after all, and even if he uses his trump card, he may not be able to defeat the opponent. Wang Daifa was furious and wanted to fight for something else. But at this moment, a voice sounded from the side without giving any dignity. What a loser! He has disgraced our 5 major families. If you don't have the ability, just keep a low profile. This is a woman's voice. You know what, you really think? Hearing the woman's words, Wang Daifang became angry and immediately looked towards the place where the sound came from. Before he could finish speaking, his whole body froze. Bing Xian. You are indeed here. Haha, I knew you were going to come to Tianxing sect. So I came too. Wang Daifa immediately put on another smiling face and turned into a dog-licking look. And the woman who spoke out was none other than the woman who also came out of the teleportation array in Zhongzhou before. She was a stunning woman in a blue dress. Obviously, this Wang Daifa is very familiar with this woman in blue dress, and they should be very fond of her. Wang Daifa. I'm not that familiar with you. Whether you come here or not has nothing to do with me. But since you're here, I just advise you, don't embarrass the face of our 5 major families. The woman said coldly to Wang Daifa, as if she was not cold to him. Her name is Shen Bingzin. She is a member of the 5 major families in Zhongzhou, and is a talented and charming daughter of the Shen family in Zhongzhou. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 583. Wang Daifa was very cold to Shen Bingzin, who looked like a dog, but Shen Bingzin was a cold goddess, and didn't take Wang Daifa to heart at all. Hearing Shen Bingzin's words that kept people away from him, Wang Daifa's mouth twitched slightly. Bingzin, don't be like this. You know, I have liked you for many years. I want to join the Tianxing sect with you. Perhaps he had long been accustomed to the coldness of the woman in front of him, Wang Daifa said shamelessly. But I don't like you. Not before, and not in the future. Shen Bingzin heard Wang Daifa's words, but her eyes did not change at all, and she said coldly again, rejecting it very straightforwardly. Bingzin. Me. Wang Daifa was really persistent, and he didn't give up, and wanted to say something. But before he could speak. Wang Daifa. Don't blame me for being rude if you say more. Shen Bingzin's cold voice came directly again, with a hint of anger in her voice. At the same time, a powerful force of cultivation was released from Shen Bingzin's body. She was also a lower-grade immortal, and was considered the best among all the people present. It looked like they were going to fight if they didn't agree. Wang Daifa saw the scene and knew that Shen Bingzin was going to do it for real, so he immediately shut his mouth. As a member of the 5 major families in Zhongzhou, Wang Daifa had pursued Shen Bingzin for so many years, so he naturally knew Shen Bingzin's temperament very well. He knew that Shen Bingzin would do what she said, so Wang Daifa was directly scared. The people around looked at this scene, looking like they were eating melons, which was a bit funny. However, when they looked at Gao Zhan, they had put away their arrogance. Is this the strong man of Tianxing sect? Although he was only 1 realm higher than Wang Daifa, he was completely crushed, and his true strength was simply unimaginable. Everyone has become serious about joining the Tianxing sect. In the crowd, Li Hao also had a mentality of watching a show, but he also had a new understanding of the cultivation strength of these people. This place is indeed the Haoshan immortal realm. Any random person is an earth immortal or a heavenly immortal. Compared with these people in the field, my cultivation as a top-grade earth immortal seems insignificant, and among these people, there are probably many people with extraordinary origins and identities. It is better to be low-key when you first arrive. Although Li Hao did not know why he was teleported here directly, at this moment, Li Hao had an idea in his mind that he had to find a place to stay in this unfamiliar place. It just so happened that the Tianxing sect in front of him was a good choice. One after another, there were continuous bursts of light from these teleportation arrays, and there were more people in the field. Li Hao arrived here relatively early. Li Hao noticed that among the young people who came later, there were actually several young people like himself who came from the lower world. However, perhaps because they came from the lower world, they did not attract much attention. Finally, as time passed, the number of people in the field had reached 500. The brilliance on the teleportation arrays in the field also dissipated. Okay, almost everyone has arrived. Those who are late will not be able to join our Tianxing section. At a certain moment, the Tianxing sect man named Gao Zhan spoke to everyone in a deep voice. Then, Gao Zhan stood with his hands behind his back, with a master's attitude, and slowly said, "Today is the Tianxing sect's recruitment meeting held every 20 years. As everyone knows, our Tianxing sect is one of the few high-level sects in the entire Haoshan immortal realm, and the sect master is a true immortal king. Although there are not many disciples in our Tianxing sect, they are all outstanding geniuses. In the hundreds of years since the founding of the sect, only a few thousand disciples have been recruited. Among these thousands of people, 50% are menial disciples, 30% are outer disciples, 10% are inner disciples, and more than 100 are core disciples. The total number of disciples and direct disciples is less than 10%. different disciples, different treatments, and naturally different futures. You are all young geniuses from various places. Are you going to be menial disciples, or outer disciples, or even inner disciples, or core disciples? Then show your potential and let the sect master and elders of our Tianxing sect see it. This Gao Zhan is not only powerful, but also has the ability to stir up the atmosphere. With just a few words, he made these young geniuses in the field excited. Climb the road to heaven and enter the immortal sect. The next moment, Gao Zhan shouted again. As Gao Zhan's voice fell, everyone's eyes looked in the same direction. At this moment, the mountain seemed to change its position, and the entire sky seemed to have opened a portal, which was located on the top of the mountain. The mountain gate was like an immortal gate. A ladder slowly appeared in front of everyone, connecting to the immortal gate, standing in the void. This ladder, at first glance, is hundreds of feet high, with no one knowing how many steps it has. There is also an invisible force on the ladder that makes people afraid. Go up, and you can join our Tianxing sect if you climb up. If you can't even climb this ladder, what qualifications do you have? At this time, next to Gao Zhan, the other Tianxing sect man who had not spoken for a long time spoke again, and his voice echoed throughout the sky, shocking everyone. Tianxing sect. I am determined to win. It's just a step, what's the big deal? Immediately, a young genius spoke proudly, and then rushed directly to the ladder. But soon. Boom. When this genius stepped on the ladder, an invisible force descended from the ladder, and a huge pressure fell directly on him. Everyone only saw that the figure of this young genius actually retreated directly to the back. This scene, falling into the eyes of the geniuses behind, also shocked them suddenly. This ladder is really not that simple. Just now, this genius gave everyone a wayfinding. Fortunately, although this genius was shocked back, he was not in any trouble. After stabilizing his body, he burst out with powerful cultivation power, and the strong fairy power formed a thick protection around his body. Then, this genius rushed towards the ladder again. In the next moment, this genius finally stood steadily on the ladder. A powerful pressure descended upon him, but he endured it. With this previous experience, the geniuses behind him were prepared, and then, one after another, they all activated their cultivation power and headed towards the ladder.